Well, greetings everyone. This is Don, and I'm an old school kind of guy. My old school tip for today is do what you want to do. I've got other tips that you're probably going to want, but I started out with some philosophy last week and some more philosophy this week. And then next week I'll give you a nice good tip. Today, when I look around the aquarium hobby today, I see too many people that too many people that try to do whatever the experts say. They're too busy trying to match up to what all the experts say. An expert might mean, a neighbor or somebody at the Aquarium Society or somebody at the fish store or a relative or whatever. It might be somebody that wrote a book or somebody that made a famous YouTube. Listen, do what you want to do. Community tanks, species-specific tanks. You want to have tank busters? Go ahead. Do you want to use real decorations or fake decorations? Do you want to have plants? Real plants? Fake plants? What kind of plants? Use what you want. Speaking of plants, all the rage right now is got to go dirted if you want to have real good plants, or you got to use CO2 and go high tech. Listen, in the 1970s, I had plants in all my tanks. I used aquarium gravel, under gravel filters. I used no fertilizers. I didn't add oxygen. I had incandescent lighting. I didn't have any of this stuff you have today. I didn't add anything. I didn't use any special soil or substrate additives. And I grew plants. Listen, people, you do what you want to do. Today, I try to tank with peat moss underneath my sand. Not going to do that again. You uproot a plant and peat moss comes with it and it makes a mess of your tank. But if you're going to set up a dirty tank and leave it that way, and so be it. Nothing wrong with it. I think it makes growing certain plants easier. CO2, nothing wrong with it. Makes growing certain plants easier. Or some of them that are impossible to grow, you can grow with dirted plant tanks in CO2. Hey, speaking of, doing, how do you want to do it? I see all these people trying to do a biotope tank or a Dutch style tank or an Iwagumi tank or whatever. That's nice. And substrates. None of my tanks are Dutch or Iwagumi or biotope or, they aren't patterned after Takayashi or whatever. My tanks are what I like. And substrate. I mentioned substrate. I mostly use sand because I like corydoras and other related catfish that like to dig in the sand. And the gravel, as I learned back in the 70s, the gravel chews up the barbels on their mouth, and that's not good for them. So I like sand. Now sand comes with problems. Some people like gravel, aquarium gravel. Some get their own gravel. In the old days, we used to go out to a riverbed and scoop up our own gravel, bring it home, wash it, and use it. I actually did that. Do whatever you want. You want to use aquarium gravel? Good. You want to cover the bottom with marbles? Fine. I don't care. There are advantages and disadvantages to every kind of substrate you can imagine. Do what you want to do. Another thing I see people doing today is they feel like they aren't a good aquarist, a good hobbyist, if they aren't breeding fish. Sure, I like to breed fish. Right here in this tank, I've got some angels that have bred several times now. They have yet to raise their fry to adulthood, mostly because I got those are rams. Mostly they don't make it to adulthood because I got angels in there too. The angels love the baby rams. Over there, I've got some Honduran red point cichlids that are raising their fry just fine. Don't have any angels in there. I'm not in the hobby to be a breeder. I used to. I did that in the 80s. I did a lot of that. And I made money off it. You can actually make money. I made so much money that I could actually afford to buy an extra 10-gallon tank a month with the accoutrements. In other words, I didn't make a lot of money, and I was doing better than anyone else I knew. If you want to breed, and you want everything in small tanks, fine. One pair of fish in every 5-gallon tank or 10-gallon tank. I told you last week I like community tanks. Hey, whatever you like, why don't you do that? But do it the way you want to do it. Don't do what somebody else says. I don't care who they are. It's your hobby. Do it your way.